Hey everybody, Carey Peters here, back for Tuesday Tips. Holy moly, did I have some serious bronchitis. I was sick for a couple of weeks, and I know that I'm sure some of you have been sick. There's been like a crazy flu and who knows what going around. But if you're here with me today, I say welcome. We live. We survive. We sniffle. And of course now my daughter has the cough and my husband has the flu. It's just kind of like whipping through us all. So I thought today for a mug, I needed a little Prince today. That's what I needed. This is my husband got me this awesome mug of Prince, R.I.P. So I decided I was going to drink a little red clover tea from a Prince mug and think about the revolution. So, welcome. If you are here for Tuesday Tips, you're in, of course, exactly the right place. We're going to dish about money, about where to find it, about how to use it to fund your dreams and fund your values. You know, it never occurred to me. I had always seen money as something that was just something to struggle over. Prior to my life as a coach, I always struggled with money. I didn't understand how to manage it. I never felt like I knew how to make it. I remember walking down the streets in Chicago. For those of you who live here, I lived for a long time in Lincoln Park, which is a very snazzy neighborhood of Chicago. There's lots of beautiful brownstones and townhomes, and they're very expensive, probably, I don't know, $1.5 million to $2 million at least. And I'd walk down the street and I'd like look in the windows at night of people's houses or the lights on as they're walking around, and I'd be like, what do you do for a living? Like, how do you afford this house? Who lives here in like this entire neighborhood of, $1 million townhomes? And I'd walk around and I'd be so confused, like, I just don't get it. And I ended up, for much of my 20s and into my early 30s, I just overspent. I had a very hard time living within my means. As a professional actress, I maybe made $20,000, $25,000 a year. And if it was a really good year, maybe it was 40 or 50 from like commercials, if I booked them. And by the way, in my previous life as an actress, I was a soccer mom in all kinds of commercials, like a Walmart and a Home Depot. And yes, I was the mother in a minivan, although I never actually drove a minivan. But I'd always walk into these audition rooms and just like 30 moms. The same 30 people. Anyway, so I never had the experience of having a lot of money or understanding like how to spend money or be on a budget or whatever. And long story short, in my early 30s, I ended up in a lot of debt. Like, it was around $70,000, and $20,000 of that was credit card debt, and the rest of it was a loan from my family, which you'd think like, oh, well, that's not that big of a deal, but it was. It was really from a bank. It came from my family, but it was from a bank, and I had to pay it back just like I would a credit card or any other loan. And I remember just thinking like, I think it was around the time I hit 33 years old, where I was like, this is not how I'm supposed to be living my life. I'm not supposed to be scrambling and having to get loans from my family or put things on a credit card. I don't want to live like this. It really was a come to Jesus moment. I remember there was a time when I was in Los Angeles and living with a terrible boyfriend. That's another story for another video. Anyway, I remember like just sitting on the wooden floor, this cold wooden floor of this room in this little like ranch house in Studio City or Valley Village in Los Angeles, and just like crying. I just kept watching my bank account. I think I had, at maybe 33 years old, I think I had into my name $9,000 or $10,000, and like that was it. I had no savings and no retirement. I didn't own stocks. I didn't own a home. I mean, like nothing. And I just remember sitting there sobbing like, this can't be it. This can't be it for me. This can't be right. And it was really in that moment that I made a decision of going, I am not going to be broke again. This is not going to be my life. This is not going to be my reality. And I went about the business of figuring out, how do I create a life for myself where I have the experience of having enough money? I mean, to me, like, just being able to go to the ATM and to be able to pull out more than just $20 was like amazing. And then to the idea of going into a store, like a clothing store, for example, and looking around something that wasn't Target, even though I heart Target. I really, really love Target. But to go into like Nordstrom, for example, which seemed exorbitantly expensive to me, and be like, oh, I can actually afford any pair of shoes. Like, I just never had that experience in my life. And so in that moment on that cold floor, I was like, that's it. I am going to make money. I am going to have a great living for myself. I'm going to have the experience of freedom and flexibility. And at the end of the day, it wasn't because being able to buy a pair of shoes or being able to have the freedom to decorate my apartment, like, oh gosh, I just want to be able to go to like a store. The crowning achievement of like my life was to buy a couch from Pottery Barn. That was like the most exciting thing ever. And that just happened a couple of years ago. I actually let myself, I was like, oh my God, a Pottery Barn couch. It just seemed like something those adults in those Lincoln Park townhomes that somehow like made gajillions of dollars did. Like, they can afford Pottery Barn. Anyway, I do feel like this is that making money, that having the experience of some freedom in your finances is a choice. And the thing that's cool about that is realizing, like, wow, I don't have to be a victim of circumstance. I don't have to settle for the salary that whatever job I'm at tells me I'm making. I don't have to work in an environment that I don't want to work in. I get to do work that I love to do, and I get to make a great living. That was another part of that decision as I was laying there crying. I was like, I have to help people. I can't go to an office. I can't sit there. And when I was doing day jobs as an actress, I was mostly like an executive assistant or some sort of admin. But like, I can't sit here and file stuff. Like, I can't make appointments for people. Like, it's killing me to sit in this desk. I feel like I'm wasting my life. I just had this like drive inside to help people. And I knew that like, if I was going to do work and throw my heart and soul into it and really get behind it and believe in it, it had to be something that was helping people. And it had to be something that was making me money. I'll never forget that day. It was an absolute turning point. And I hope today can be a turning point for you, where you decide, this is it. I'm not having this experience anymore. My life is not meant to be so much struggle around finances. I don't, in some ways, what we get to look at when we're struggling with something, and money is just one example, is in what ways are we just that we're almost like addicted to it. We become like addicted to anxiety and struggle. And what would it be like to not have to worry about money? The thing about it is, when we think about the things that we want in life, like if you're considering investing in a training, or you're considering taking a vacation, or you're considering increasing your skill set, or you're considering investing in help in some way for your business. When we think about those things, I remember when I was first starting to work with an assistant, I wanted to create an ebook and I wanted to sell it online, and there were certain technical elements that I couldn't handle. Because, by the way, that was back in 2008, which was like the dark ages of internet marketing. So things weren't as easy as they are today. So I needed some technical help, and I knew I had to hire an assistant, a virtual assistant, to help me. And I remember this virtual assistant was $35 an hour, and I was hysterically terrified about hiring this person. And it was for 5 hours a month. I mean, that was it, 5 hours. And I remember thinking, I can't afford it, I can't afford it, I can't afford it. And then I started thinking about, well, wait a minute. How can I afford it? Like, how many ebook sales is this to hire this assistant? And I started to turn my mindset around and go, okay, wait, do I have 5 times 35, whatever that is? Do I have this money already? I'm just spending it elsewhere? Am I spending this money somewhere else? Like, do I actually have the money that I need to hire this assistant and I'm just not putting it towards that? So one of the things I want to talk about today, and thank you for joining, for everybody who's saying hello. It's such a pleasure to be back again with you. So one of the things I want to talk about is using money to fund your dreams and fund your values. And that we may have money, we may not be able to afford everything, but we want to afford the most important things. And our values and dreams are the most important. I've been reading this book called Essentialism. It was a book recommended to me by a coach of mine, a graduate of ours named Alexis Logan, a wonderful coach, spiritual coach. She's amazing. And she recommended this book to me, and I'll give you the bottom line. I don't mean to be a spoiler here, but Essentialism is about what are the essential things in your life? What are the most important things in your life? And they came down to 3 for me, really. It's about working in a way that helps people. It's about financial freedom and independence. That was my second one. And the third one was lifestyle, which to me involves health, involves my family, involves a sense of spaciousness in my life and a sense of play, which, let me tell you, with a little 17-month-old is hard to come by, although I do play with her. But anyway, those are really the 3 main things that I care about. And when it comes down to it, when I look at my bank statements and when I look at my credit card statements and when I look at what I'm spending, I want to know that everything that I'm spending is funding those values. It's really important. So for you to take a moment to think about, all right, what's essential in my life that I have to have, like the most important things to me. And it's not going to be more than 3 to 5 things, 5 at most. And making sure, like, hey, am I funding my values? So another value for you might be healthy food. You know, a lot of times when you're a health coach, you will encounter clients who go, oh, you know, healthy food is expensive or whatever. Yeah. Sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. But regardless, whatever you're spending on food is money you're not spending at the doctor's office or money that you're not spending at the pharmacy. You're going to spend the money, it's just where's it going to go? And I, for one, would rather be spending time in my kitchen with the food, although God knows I can't cook. I just assemble things. But I'd rather be spending time doing that than at the doctor's office. So if you're someone who really values food, yeah, you're going to spend a lot of money on that. And other people may judge that and may, whatever. Who cares about their opinion? But the point is that understanding what's the value for you, what's essential for you, and knowing that, okay, these are the things that are important to me. This is where my money's going to go. I think, the thing that stops a lot of people, and did me as well, is when I have something that I want, it's aligned with my values, then I go, I can't afford it. So for example, let's say you are super into personal growth and learning. Let's say you are a health coach or you're dying to be a health coach. This is a great example. Stacy and I have a live event coming up in May. It's May 18th through the 20th. It's in Miami. We're going to be teaching about how to create high-end coaching programs. How do you create them? How do you fill them? How does that work? How are coaches out there charging $5,000 and $10,000 and $15,000 and $25,000 for programs? Like, what's the deal? So this event is in Miami. Now, if you're in our Become a Health Coach training, and that's included in your tuition, and if you're not, you, I think, pay a seat deposit. Regardless, you can get the information at hcilive.com/social. hcilive.com/social. That will give you information about the event, like the seat deposit and how, what'll happen and how to get there. Well, let's say you don't live in Miami. So So the event itself is not particularly expensive, but you're going to have to fly to Miami or drive to Miami and maybe stay somewhere. Like there's some expense involved, and maybe you have kids or pets at home, or you have a house that needs to be taken care of and you have to deal with, childcare and pet care and house care and whatever. So there's some expense and effort involved in attending this HCI live event. So many people could stop at the I can't afford it. I'm just not going. I can't afford it. I can't do it. And I would suggest to ask yourself a different question. And this comes from something that Stacey experienced early in her health coaching career. When she first started, she was talking with a sort of seasoned health coach, and she said, I really want you to mentor me. I would love to learn everything you know about being a seasoned health coach. So Stacey was thinking, man, I can cut my learning curve, So the mentor said, great, my program, and I don't remember the exact number, but it was something like, the investment to mentor with me is $5,000. And Stacey pretty much crapped her pants and was like, dude, I make $17 an hour at a grocery store. For those of you who don't know, Stacey worked at a co-op in San Francisco. She worked in the bakery tasting cookies and pies for $17 an hour. So for her to invest, $5,000 was a huge deal. And she freaked in the conversation, and she said to this coach, she's like, my God, I would love to work with you, but I can't afford that. And the coach said to her something that I will never, ever forget, and I ask myself on a regular basis for things that I value and want. The coach said, I believe you. I believe that you can't afford it. So what are you willing to do to create this possibility for yourself? And Stacey was like, a gagung? Like, what? What do you mean? Oh my God. First of all, wait a minute. I can create this possibility for myself? Never occurred to her. Didn't occur to me. Oh wait, I can decide, there's something that I want, and then I can create the possibility to have it, even if it costs whatever it costs that I feel like I can't afford. That just blew my freaking mind, and it blew Stacey's mind, because we're not necessarily conditioned in that way of thinking. We're more conditioned of I can't afford it. I'm gonna have to stick within my budget or whatever. And that instead there's this whole other option of going, wait a minute, I can create the possibility for this to be true for me. So if I want to attend an event, or if I want to do some kind of training, I can create the money and do it. This is to me, it opened up a level of freedom and possibility that I just had never considered. So for you, for whatever it is that you're considering investing in, whether it's our live event or a training from us, or a live event somewhere else, or a training from someone else, or a freaking pair of shoes, whatever it is that is in your value system that's important to you, that you're saying to yourself right now, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. But what are you willing to do to create the possibility for yourself? The other thing I love about that question is that it's not only is this possible, but it asks me, what am I willing to do? And it's first of all, how badly do I want XYZ? How important is this to me really? And how far, or how much am I willing to do, or how far am I willing to go to make this a reality? This is another thing that I think is different. When we talk for coaches, I think what we help people do, whether you're a health coach or a life coach or a business coach or whatever, what we really help people do is create the life of their dreams that they don't think they can have. And so the first people we have to do that for is ourselves. So we get a chance to look at, okay, what are the things, sorry, I've got a cord in my hand. I have no idea what I'm doing with this. But so one of the things that we have to look at is, okay, where am I believing that I have a limitation? Where am I believing that I don't get to have what I want, and that somehow external circumstances are going to keep me from the thing that I value most and that's most important to me. This is an extremely important mindset shift, because when it comes to creating the life that you want to create, you open up to the possibility, first of all, that you can choose to do that. And second of all, that it's going to take some effort on your part. Like, it's going to take some thinking outside the box or doing things that you might not normally do. But that I can't afford it isn't a stopping point anymore. The question becomes, okay, how can I afford it? And what am I willing to do to create the possibility for myself? So I want to talk about a couple ways to get the money you need, and I have some notes here. Because a lot of us, if you're watching this webinar, you're looking at investing in a new career as a coach, or perhaps maybe you already are a coach and there are things that you need to deepen your investment. Maybe there's a certain training that you want, or whatever it might be. And you need to have money for that. So what are the different ways that you can create money? And one of them, I have to say, is to look at the money that you already have and where it's being spent. So you could use, many of you may be familiar with an app called Mint.com. I think it's also a website. I think you can use it as an app or a website, is what I'm trying to say. And Mint.com links to your bank accounts, to your credit cards, and then it gives you really specific budgets. You can see everything that you're spending on. One of our amazing team members at HCI, her name is Hannah, and I think she's on this Facebook Live. She was just saying, she's like, I just use Mint and realized that I have a serious coffee addiction, and that I could have bought a car for the amount of lattes that I've bought. So, and it's a very simple setup. I don't think it costs anything, actually. I think it's free. So you can use something like that to understand from a baseline point of view, like, where's my money going? The thing that's really cool about Mint is that once you set it up and you connect your accounts and you set budgets, you really don't have to do anything. And this is the nice thing about it, is that you get like a weekly sort of report, or you can log in weekly and see where are you in relation to your budget, because it's totally possible that you already have the money for the thing that you want to do. It's just being spent elsewhere. Another really important thing to do is to review your credit card statements, because you may have, we all do recurring subscriptions to whatever, and when we're done with it, sometimes we forget to unsubscribe to the thing or cancel the subscription. So you may have hundreds of dollars of money that's going to a service or something that you don't use or you don't want anymore. So this is another place to find the money you already have. Another place to find the money you already have is to look at anything you have to return. Stacy was saying early on in her career, she's like, I don't have any money. And then looking at her garage, I think it was, she had a bunch of boxes of shoes from Zappos that she'd been meaning to return but just never had. And it was hundreds of dollars in shoes. And she's like, oh, I have a couple $100 sitting in my garage. So that's another place to find the money you already have. Oh, there was one more that I just had in my mind, but it'll come back to me. Another way to find money that you already have is to turn your stuff into money. You can very easily start selling items that you just don't use anymore or don't care about. I feel like it's kind of never been easier to go online and sell stuff, whether it's eBay or Craigslist, or there's a Facebook garage sale, something or other, where you can get rid of old furniture that you're not using, or old clothes, or old kids' toys, old maternity clothes if you're not using them anymore. So many ways to just turn stuff that's not valuable to you into money that you can use to fund your values. Really great. And I just saw a comment from Inez, yeah, perfect time, spring cleaning, exactly. This is the perfect time to kind of go through your house and see oh, what is the stuff that I can sell? Excellent. Here's another way to find the money that you already have. If you're up for it, you can become an Airbnb host. So, for example, I live in a big city in Chicago, and when the Cubs were in the World Series last year, oh man, if I had been I was actually out of town for an HCI event, which was sad that I missed that. But if I had been in town, my husband and Evie and I could have vacated our house and put it on Airbnb and been like, lots of money to stay here so you can go see the Cubs in the World Series. You don't have to vacate your house. You can also just host like a private room and a bathroom. It's free to list your space. It's free to get started as a host. That may or may not be your thing. I mean, some of you, I wouldn't want to share a room in my house, but if I was gone, well, it might be different. Another place to find money that you already have, certainly you could drive for Lyft or Uber. And then I also think that there is, and I'm trying to see if I can find the note. Oh, your car, yeah. So if your car sits around all day and you don't drive it, you can check out the website. Hopefully it still exists, although things move quickly. You can check out the website getaround.com to see if you can rent your car while you're not using it. According to the site, the last time I looked, which is a couple months ago, the average car owner can make $6,000 per year just renting their car. If you don't drive every day, or if you don't have to drive every day, $6,000 is a lot. That probably would cover the training that you want, or the trip that you want, or the event that you want to attend, or the family vacation you want to take your kids on. So that's a lot of money, essentially taking your car and turning it into an asset that makes money for you. So that's another one. One thing that you could do too, and this depends completely on your living situation, and on your personality, but one of the things that you could do is become a short-term roommate or take in a short-term roommate. If you have your rent or your mortgage cut in half for 6 months, I'm just making things up here in Chicago. Let's say you're renting a two-bedroom, two-bathroom for $3,000 a month. And for 6 months, you can cut that in half. And that's $1,500 times 6. Whatever that is. I don't know, $3,000, I think. That's a lot of money. So there's an option there. It's basically looking around your life at what already exists and saying, okay, where is the hidden money? Where is the money that I already have that I can redirect, or the assets that I have that I can redirect to the things that mean the most to me? I'm seeing Christina says she just sold her camcorder that she never used on eBay for $150. That's amazing, by the way, that a camcorder sold for $150. That's incredible. And you're using it for your trip to Miami. That is so exciting. Prince approves. Let's see if I have any other notes here. Another one is to collect on debts or payments that are owed to you. If a family member owes you money, maybe they can't, or a friend, maybe they can't pay you back in full, but at least you create a payment plan for that person and that person's sticking to it, so you're being paid back. Maybe you're owed money by, I don't know, maybe you overpaid for an insurance policy, or you're owed money from your health insurance, or like some sort of something that you have to pay for regularly, but that you might have overpaid, or they owe you money. It's definitely worth looking into. Where are those pieces? Hi, everybody who's on and saying hello. One other thing, and this doesn't necessarily have to do with, it might fund your values and fund your dreams, and that is to go gift card shopping. If you have gift cards that have been laying around for months and months and months and months, if you're looking at a gift card and going, well, I want to save it for that one special thing, to go ahead and use it. Like, have a day where you go gift card shopping and use your gift cards. The other thing about that is, like, there's an energy of letting that money flow and knowing that it's not like you're going to use your gift cards and, oh my gosh, I'm never going to have money again. That it's just like, this is money that is there and available to you, and you get to use it. You may use some of those gift cards to fund your values and fund your dreams. It just depends. I do love Gap jeans, so, it would be funding some of my dreams. Okay, great. So those are a couple of ideas that you can use. I'll just add that if you're really also getting if you wanted to go a step further, basically, then looking around your immediate life to see where the money is hiding, you also can look at things like low to no interest credit cards or loans from friends and family if there are things that are very expensive that you want to invest in. There may be money in your house. I mean, I'm not advising you to take out some sort of loan that isn't appropriate for you to do. You should not do any of that without talking with the people who advise you financially. I think the key takeaway is that there is more money that you have access to and that you can create and that you can find that's around you every day, but you're just not seeing it or thinking about it in that particular way. And I just wanted to say, Terry, this is a really nice comment here. You're saying great ideas to share with potential clients who say they can't afford coaching. Nice point. Another thing that I'll say for health coaches in particular, whose clients say, oh, I don't know, I can't afford it. Do you take insurance? One of the things that you can suggest to those clients is to ask them if they have a flexible spending account, if they have a healthcare spending account, that their healthcare spending account or flexible spending account might cover their health coaching investment. Now, every company that what's the word I'm looking for, that delivers health spending accounts and flexible spending accounts or facilitates, moderate, the word I'm talking about. Every company is different, so they're going to have different requirements. I've seen people who have required a doctor's note to the HSA so that the HSA will cover the health coaching fee. I've also seen, oftentimes with an HSA or an FSA, you're given a credit card, and it's just like your client can pay for your health coaching with the credit card, and they don't need any kind of authorization. So that's something, as you're trying to help your clients understand where do they have money that already exists around them, but they're not necessarily seeing or thinking of. Until the day comes when health coaching becomes, when our absurd question or our magnificent obsession at HCI comes true, where every person has a health coach and it's, covered by insurance. Until that day comes, there are resources available for people who have HSAs, FSAs, etc., to invest in their health coaching program. I think the thing that I ultimately see as the takeaway from this conversation is that anything is possible. When you're stopped by I can't afford it, you're quitting too soon. And this is true for all of us. When we say, I can't afford it. It's a form of quitting. And sometimes we use it as an excuse because then we don't have to put ourselves out. We don't have to do anything scary. We don't have to take risks. Well, I can't afford. We call that the money shield. When we're using money as like an oldie-timey shield to shield us from fear and to shield us from discomfort and to shield us from possible, judgment or rejection or whatever it is that we're scared of. So I think one of the things that really makes successful coaches successful, no matter what niche they're in, is they shift their stopping point. So that means that if you usually stop yourself at I can't afford it, but you find a way around that of going, how can I afford it? And what am I willing to do to create this possibility for myself? You've effectively moved your stopping point, which means you're going to move forward and have more success. Another stopping point that we can talk about in other Tuesday tip videos is how. I don't know how. I don't know how. Now, we've talked about a lot of sort of how ways today to find money so that you can fund your values. But there are plenty of things in your business that you're going to have to learn how. But oftentimes where we'll stop ourselves and we'll go, oh, I don't know how. End of story. Like, well, yeah, so your job becomes, all right, I got to learn how. So it's not a stopping point. It's a way to go, oh, okay, what do I have to do to move around this little challenge or obstacle so that I can move forward? No one ever fails. They quit. When it comes to coaching, in particular, in a lot of things. Now, we could have lots of discussions about this in a lot of different arenas, but I can tell you for certain, in a coaching career, there's no such thing as failure. There's only deciding to stop, which is essentially quitting. And you don't have to do that. You may just not necessarily have thought about it in that way before. So I hope that this video today and our time together has given you a new perspective and a new possibility of seeing like, wow, I can do this. It is possible for me. And in fact, I'm going to do this. And realizing that, look, not everybody thinks this way, and that's okay. They don't have to. One of the paradigms that we share in our graduate program is paradigm meaning like a guideline, like one of the sort of guidelines that we live by in one of our graduate programs at HCI is to tell your truth without needing to be right. This is a writer downer. To tell your truth without needing to be right. So if the people around you aren't thinking the same way that you are, that's okay. That's okay. My own husband, I just had this conversation with him the other day. Evie was sick, and I was like, I didn't want her to eat certain foods. And he's like, well, the doctor says she can have blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, so basically, like, you do realize that thousands of people pay me thousands of dollars to teach them things about health, but you're actually not, like, you're not believing what I'm telling you, which I recognize is like, okay, well, that's okay. He's can be where he is, and I can say like what I feel without having to have him agree with me. And I don't have to agree with him. And the people in your life that you care about most, you don't have to have them fully on board with your mindsets. You just keep going with your mindsets. And then eventually people sort of catch up and see what you're doing and go, oh my gosh, what you're doing is amazing. I didn't tell my family or really my friends or anyone for years what I was doing in coaching. And then, 6, 7, 8 years in, people start going, oh, what is it that you're doing? Oh, well, I'm doing it, blah, blah, blah. You can tell your truth. You don't need to be right, or you don't have to share, what it is that you're thinking about. You don't have to convince, in other words, your spouse or your friends or your partner or your parents, like, oh, well, I learned today that I have to be willing to create possibilities in my life, and you should too. No, don't worry about other people. They'll worry about themselves. You just worry about you so that you can create the life that you want. And then when other people look at you and see your results, they'll go, oh my gosh, it's magical. And of course, it's like, no, I worked for this. So I hope that you found today's discussion useful. And I just want to say thank you to all of you who shared lovely comments, who have been here hanging with us on the Tuesday tips. And to remind you that, if you dig it digitally, you might really dig it live. And that you have the opportunity to come see myself and my business partner, Stacy. We're a funny pair. We're very, very different and like siblings, and we're funny and goofy and ridiculous. But when it comes to helping you succeed in your coaching career, we are all business, and we know how to show you how to do it because we've done it ourselves, and because we've trained thousands of coaches to succeed in their coaching businesses. So chances are good that we can help you too. And if you want to come meet us live, you can come to our next live event in May. It's the 18th through the 20th. It's in Miami. For those of you who live in Miami, it's going to be very easy for you. But we'll also have people coming from all over the world and all over the United States. And if you want to reserve a seat there, you can go to hcilive.com/social. And there's going to be a lot of wonderful things that are happening there. The main thing that we're going to be teaching is how do you create and fill a high-end coaching program? How are coaches out there charging $3,000 and $5,000 and $10,000 for like a 90-day coaching program or something? Like, how is this happening? And we're going to teach you all the components of that. What are the nuts and bolts of pricing and packaging and all of that? What are the coaching skills that you need to have to do that? But then even more, I think that's important about the event is that there's something amazing about getting out of your normal environment and going to a place where hundreds of people see and hold the version of you that you want to become and that you are becoming. Because we don't necessarily have that at home. Sometimes we have amazing support and sometimes we don't. But in this room, where there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of coaches, and us, as we're working hard, partying hard, having a great time, everyone in that room is going to look at you and see the you that you're becoming. That version of you that is financially independent, that is successful as a coach, that is happy and at peace and content in their life, that is living their purpose. And for you to have that experience of yourself for 3 days, like that changes you forever. There's no going back from that. Once you taste that and have that experience, you're halfway there. So we really urge you to be there live. And also, you know, live trainings were something that were a real turning point for Stacy and I in our coaching careers. And so we encourage you, we still attend trainings ourselves as students. So I really encourage you to ask yourself, you know, what can I do to make this a possibility for me? And what am I willing to do to create that possibility? And again, you can go to hcilive.com/social to reserve your seat, to get more information. And ultimately, what I want to leave you with is a reminder, ding, 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 that you may not have enough money for everything, but you do have enough money for the most important things. If you know where to look, as we talked about today, and you commit to using your money to fund your values. And I just say thank you for being here. You've done an amazing job. I appreciate all of your comments and all of your participation. And I'm really excited to be with you guys again next Tuesday, because now that I've gotten rid of the lung Ebola, i.e. bronchitis, I'm back. So you're going to see me next Tuesday. And we're going to be talking about power coaching questions and how to create sequences that get your clients incredible results. I know you're going to love it. So I will see you on Tuesday of next week, and then I'll also see you in Miami. Bye, everybody.